A common lie is you cannot trade news. When there is news, you should avoid it, right? And the funniest thing is the people that say that will send you a news screenshot if it goes their way. But let me teach you how to correctly trade news and how you can use news in your trading plan. All right. First things first, you need to go in Forex Factory. Look at the calendar, see what days there is news. All right. So for this example, we are trading AUD CAD. Right. So for the week, I want to look at AUD news and CAD news. Right. These two news have my interest. Right. Especially red news. Right. Anything below, I'm not really a fan of. I don't use anything that is red, high impact news, and is correlated to this pair. I do want to use. All right. A lot of you guys think trading is we enter 2 seconds before news, 1 pip stop loss, and trying to make 50k from the trade, whatever. Nothing like that, right? The way you trade news is to see what is happening and where price will most likely go. Right? Doesn't mean you have 100% win rate, right? Get that out of your mind, all right? But news helps us catch the weekly range. Kill zones help us catch the daily range. This is your time and price, right? So news equals time and price. Kill zones equals time and price. It's just a time where we inject volatility within the market. You will see when there is news, right? When there is volatility, we'll see movements. When there isn't, you'll see this, right? So we want to get involved in price action like this, not like this, all right? Make sense? Perfect. Now, let me rewire your brain so you can now look at news as an area to get involved rather than avoiding or closing your positions or whatever, all right? First things first, go on the higher time frames, right? As we spoke about here, I'll make this larger. Pop this there. News is just volatility, right? So the people that are swinging, the banks that are swinging or whatever, right? They're not entering on kill zones or, they will most likely use news as an area to get involved, right? Because it's volatility. Now, so we want to use the higher time frame for news, lower time frame for kill zones, all right? So higher time frame, right? Let's break this pair down, right? Let's talk about what's happening and how we can trade news, right? Again, you can say hindsight this and that, right? But my Discord, we promote this, right? We don't promote, degenerate gambling, but we promote days where we have high impact news so we get involved to catch the weekly range, right? I'll pop some screenshots on all the trades I've taken, right? I've maybe sent out or whatever, right? But anyways, AUD CAD, right? If we continue bullish, right? Where can we reach, right? So we could have this as our drawn liquidity, right? Or we could even have this fair value gap as our area of interest, right? So we have 2 areas where price can potentially go to, right? But for this example, we'll take this as our draw on liquidity, where we want to see price reach. Draw on liquidity. All right, I'll have that there. Now, again, we don't trade structure, right? So we're not saying, all right, break of structure here, and then a demand zone here, or whatever, right? We don't trade that, right? We trade order flow. What's happening now? If price wants to go to that drawn liquidity, where can it go from now? If price wants to go to this drawn liquidity, where is it going to react to get to that drawn liquidity, right? So first things first, we see a daily fair value gap right here, right? Now, we have a drawn liquidity and we have an area where we want to see price respect this daily fair value gap, right? Now, do we have news that supports this theory, right? So our theory is price comes down here, respects this, and continues higher. Does our economic calendar and Forex Factory actually support this theory? Yes, it does, right? So 11:30 p.m. we have CAD news, right? We have gross domestic product news, right? We have CAD news at 11:30. To get involved in this news and to actually reach our drawn liquidity or reach our area, whatever, when I see news, push it that way. There's 2 ways news can deliver price. So one is it pushes price to our higher time frame POI. So this can be your fair value gaps, your order blocks, your breaker blocks, your this and that, right? So what happens is price goes lower, retraces higher, and the news may push this down there, right? So for this example, the draw on liquidity would be the higher time frame order block, and then now you anticipate some sort of reversal to continue the higher time frame bullish order flow, right? Our second way is price has already reached our high time frame POI, so say our order block, right? So we've got our order block here, price is doing what it needs to do, reaches there, right? So we reach our POI before news, right? So now we should already start seeing bullish price action, right? So the minute you start seeing bullish price action, you can now look for confirmations that price may go higher, right? So with this one, you can either trade before the news release, after it's already tapped into a higher time frame. So this is much riskier. So now this might get confusing. So this, we're going to break it up into two situations again, right? So we're going to do one as A, scenario A, right? Our scenario A will be again. Alright, so there's two situations. So one, scenario A is we reach our high time frame order block, our high time frame fair value gap, our PD arrays, whatever. Right? Now we're seeing bullish order flow, perfect. Now with this, we could enter before news release, right? So this one is much more riskier. More RR though, potentially. So, but you're entering before news release. So you're anticipating that price should not go lower, right? So say this is your order block, fair value gap, whatever, right? You enter something like this. And then news releases and then pushes price higher, right? Now, our scenario B is we can enter after news release. Now, scenario B, similar thing, right? Similar thing. Now, similar thing, but we enter after news is released. So this could be the news release here, and now we could enter when it retraces lower, and then we still expand higher. So we have one here where news pushes price lower, right, to our high time frame POI. Two is we've reached our high time frame POI. Now we have two scenarios that we could go to. One is you could enter before, or two is you could enter after news release. So we have this as the daily fair value gap, right? Now we're going to 15-minute, right? We'll look at our Forex Factory. What do we have here? 11:30, we have news, CAD news, GDP, right? 11:30 right here. So what you see here is our first. So we have number one playing out, right? So pushing news. So news is pushing price into our higher time frame fair value gap, right? After we get there, we are now anticipating on a reversal, right? So what's happening here? Our bearish order flow is no longer in play. We're getting bullish order flow now, right? We'll go on the 30-minute. What's happening here, right? We have fair value gaps forming. We have order blocks forming, right? Let's look at this. Order blocks there. Fair value gaps here, right? You can see that I want to need to market, right? What's happening? Go higher, all right? Are we pushing? We're still respecting the order block, right? Now, again, we're disrespecting this fair value gap, right? Push price lower, but again, it failed to push price lower than this low here. So now we're seeing bullish order flow again. We are also seeing our order blocks being formed here. We are now seeing fair value gaps also being formed, which is perfect, which is a good sign of our order flow being bullish, right? So now what do we see here? So the order block respects it, pushes price higher. We have fair value gaps here. We have more order blocks being formed, more fair value gaps being formed, right? So now here you can start looking for longs, right? So we have this confirmation here, order blocks being formed, right? It's taking liquidity, it's tapped into the fair value gap, right? We come again, we take out this low here, respect this order block here, push price here, and then now you could take a trade something like this, right? Maybe you're taking a trade of this mitigation, of this fair value gap mitigation, or this mitigation block overlapping with the fair value gap, right? So now you want to see higher prices. Now you could take this higher, right? Where's your drawn liquidity? We could have this as your drawn liquidity, right? So now you're anticipating on price to reach that, right? Again, very simple, and you could scale as seen here. So now let's talk about example where we enter prior to news, right? So keep in mind this is much more riskier. I do not condone this, especially if it's for CPI, FOMC, or NFP, because you will get slipped, you will lose money, not worth it. But the rest you can do, right? But again, higher time frame is always your friend. All right. So again, we have the daily fair value gap here, right there. Now we want to take shorts to where? You know, you could have it to this fair value gap here, this low, whatever, right? We'll go on the 5 minute, right? Again, use the time frame wisely, right? Whatever makes sense, you know, use it. Sure, all your time frames should work together to make sense of where the market will go. All right. So we have this on the 5 minute. Bullish order flow is no longer holding. We sweep these highs here in the daily fair value gap. Now we're getting lower prices, right? You could have took one entry right here, right? You could took one entry right here. Another one, a very good entry is this one here. You can have your stop loss up there, right? Or you could have it there and play it safe, right? Because you do have news coming later, right? You don't want to get, you know, slipped out. You don't want to get wrecked before it goes your way. So again, your news is just your high time frame kill zone, right? So again, price can come up and take these highs here, right? You could make some rubbish TA saying, oh, trend line liquidity, doesn't really matter. Just put your stop loss where it invalidates your trade idea, all right? And your TP is down there on this low, 3.5R, right? And the news release is here, 6 o'clock, right there. So again, we're not entering before, you know, 2 minutes before news, 1 second before news and all that. We're entering where we get setups, and the news should push us to our drawn liquidity, right? Again, this is just a normal trade, nothing fancy, right? We're not gambling, right? We're just following our order flow, we're following our higher time frame, and news should push price where it needs to go.